Hey, YouTube family, it's me, Coach Jessica. I'm back. Hi. Time for another video, but guess what? I'm so excited because last year around this time, right when I got pregnant, I promised you all something and I did not follow through on my promise, which is so absolutely ridiculous of me. So, to make it up to you, I am fulfilling the promise of the Wife 101 series. And that is what I want to begin with today. Let me just give you the title of my videos so that you can prepare yourself and get your notebooks ready for the particular ones that are going to suit you. Wifely duties, multitasking maven, and that's really about motherhood, what it looks like and what it is, blended families, and finally, sustaining satisfaction. So those are all the topics that I'm going to be addressing over this series of videos. I'm hoping to roll them out relatively quickly. I do have an excuse. I want to tell you that I had a major electronic malfunction when I initially shot. I had initially shot like 3 videos and I was banging them out. But right when I went to go edit them, some foolishness happened and I was so frustrated because y'all don't know how much effort it actually takes to shoot and edit and put these videos out. It takes a lot of time. And so after I gone through all of that, it just didn't work out for me and I just needed a break because I was so upset. So I brushed that off my shoulders and now I'm here to give you what it is that many of you have really been asking me for. And I'm really excited to do this because I think that there is really a lack of an honest conversation about what it is to be a wife in this day and age. So strap on your seatbelts, ladies. Gentlemen, please don't turn this off. Watch these videos, watch this series, pass it on because I, of course, if I'm talking about being a wife, then that automatically involves you because you are the other half of that. And if I'm saying some things that are out of the way that are just like, wait a minute, you over here speaking for men and you don't know what you're talking about, please feel free. Let me know your thoughts. There's nothing wrong with expanding the conversation. And I don't think I'm always right. I just kind of know I'm always right. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm not kidding. Don't turn this off. Continue to tune in. And I'm hoping to have all of these videos out to you before the end of next week. Don't quote me because clearly I have 3 children. I'm a business owner. I got jobs. I got a whole lot of things going on right now. So I'm going to do my best. So let's start with the first video. I think it's really important to set the foundation. And I want you to think also in terms of who your husband is or who your potential husband will be. I think a lot of women fail to choose their men based on who they are instinctually and more based on what society tells you you need today, right now. But the problem is when we get into the relationship, we kind of lean on our instincts. We crawl back into the fetal position and do what is natural to us. And so since we didn't choose what is natural to us, nothing is matching. And we want to make sure that we're true to ourselves. So when we're talking about wifely duties, and that's the first topic that we're going to do today. When we're talking about who we are as wives, you need to first discover who it is that you have married. Who is your husband? Who is your potential husband? Is he a traditional man? Is he a new age man? Is he someone who has values and morals that are typical of that of your father? Or is he the type of man who says, you know, I'll stay home, you go work? Or is he the type of man that says, you know, we're 50-50, we do, you know, we split everything up, I'm washing the dishes just as much as you're mowing the lawn? Okay, so that rolls right into, ooh, no pun intended, rolls right into the roles in a marriage, which are, number one, the most important piece of the foundation. I use this metaphor all the time in my practice. I look at marriages like a house. You cannot start picking out curtains and, you know, your china if you have not yet poured the cement for the basement. And so in the foundation lies the roles. Who does what, why, when, and how. You cannot function fully in a relationship, especially a marriage, if you don't know your role, because you will be all over the place. And like I said earlier, when you fall back on your instincts, none of it's going to feel right. It creates tension, it creates frustration, and no one really knows what it's about. It's just kind of there. What is it that you see yourself doing, and what kind of position do you play in your relationship? And it's funny how when I talk about the relationship, I'm talking about duties in the home. Yes, they do coincide, because typically traditional men have an idea about how they want their house kept, how they want their woman kept, how they want their children kept. And if those things are not cohesive in their own mind, if they're not meshing well, if they're not matching what they want and what they actually have, then there is going to be a disconnect in the actual marriage between you and him, in the relationship. Again, you may not be able to put your finger on it. He may not be able to say what it is, but that tends to create a lot of problems. Expectations. Know what it is that you want from your husband and be able to articulate it. There is nothing worse than a woman who assumes that her husband is able to read her mind based on the fact that they've been together for X amount of years. Listen, honey, I have been married for 8 years now, but I have dated this man for 17. I've been with this man for 16, 17 years. And there are still things that I need to tell him, because he does not sit and think, well, what is Jessica what is she gonna need? What is she gonna want? That's not how he works. So your expectation for him has to be within the scope of what he is capable of and what he is willing to do. The willingness should have been discovered on the front end. The will takes the work. And if he's not willing, then you should have figured that out before you even got married. And that's your fault if you're not getting what you want. But the part that is more subconscious is the part that provides a little bit of leeway, where you can kind of feed him information and then the will kick in to do what it is that you're asking him to do. And pardon me for talking about you like you're not in the room. I'm sorry, but I'm talking to my girls right now. They can be a little slow in that area at times. So, you know, you have to feed them information, because ultimately this is about what you want. What is the goal? Is the goal for him to just figure it out so that you can always be happy? Or are you just going to be miserable because he's not figuring it out? Nothing wrong with providing some aid. It's a little special education. Keep in mind that all of us, men, women, boy, girl, cat, dog, mouse, have baggage and past experiences. What no one tells you about your marriage is that you automatically drag what your mom and your dad did and did not do into your marriage, and virtually attempt to recreate the exact same thing without even knowing it. You may find yourself catering to your husband like your mom did, or not catering to your husband like your mom catered to your dad. You may find yourself resentful about things that your mother was upset with your father about, where your husband never even knew that it was a problem. There are things that are going to happen on the subconscious level that you're going to have to be prepared, ding, to click in your brain and say, okay, wait a minute, that's my stuff. And if you don't take the time to figure out what box belongs to you and what box belongs to him, you will unpack your dresses and try to hang them up in his closet. That is his space, not yours. What you must do when you get into a marriage, when you become one, is both of you, of course, are going to take your experiences, because that's all we are. We're just a mashup of all the things that have happened to us up until this moment right here, which is fine. But you have to now create a life that you all can agree on, because it's not just about, well, my mama did this and my daddy did that and your mama did that wrong and your daddy did that wrong, so we're just going to do it my way. Because I'm sure that's not the idea that he had about his upbringing. And maybe it was. Maybe they do think that he does think that what your parents did is so freaking awesome. But guess what? It's now 2013 and there still are missing pieces that if you don't take the time to address it on the front end, it's going to find you and you're going to ultimately have to do it. So, what are you saying, Coach? What are you saying? What I'm saying is that you must know exactly who you are. And if you don't, you better get in that crash course and learn it fast. And part of it is growing. You know, the job of your spouse is to be your mirror and vice versa. I'm not going to have my husband out in the street looking like Boo Boo the Fool, even if what I have to say to him is scary, is hurtful. I don't like confrontation. Can you tell? I know I don't like confrontation. Really, I don't. I swear I don't. But I like cohesiveness. So I'm willing to bend and confront because I'd like to move the situation forward. So the baggage is there. The baggage is real. Everyone has it. What? You mean I'm not perfect? Don't have that reaction when he comes to you and says, hey, I'm going to need you to change this. It's not all his fault. Most of it is, but it's not all his fault. Just kidding, just kidding. Sex. I love the Lord. Don't get me wrong. I love you, Lord. Okay? But sometimes I think that he played a cruel game on us when when he matched up, I guess, sex drive and just how we view sex as the sexes, as a female and a male. Just a quick overview, and a lot of this stuff I've already said in previous videos, but a quick overview of my idea about sex or intimacy in general is that men are external and women are internal. Men do not need a whole lot of bells and whistles in order to get it on. Women, you got to start at about 10 a.m. if you plan on getting anything below the belly button. If you have not followed the procedure, you just might not be getting what you think you're getting. We work very differently when it comes to sex and our sex drive and what it is that we need to feel sexy or to even be in the mood. So because we're mismatched, it's difficult for everybody to be satisfied at all times, unless you're married at the age of 18 with no kids and your parents are still paying your bills. Because when life hits you and it can be kind of whack. There should be some discussion about what I need in terms of frequency, duration, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I guess, the emotional connection, what I need in terms of, I gu what he needs in terms of, you have to wear a maid's outfit. I don't know. Everybody's different, I guess. Some people like feet. I don't know. Whatever it is, you guys have to talk about what you particularly need so that that person can have a chance to show up for you and do what it is that you want them to do. It's not that difficult, but because sex is so emotional, it is extremely difficult. Because again, when you don't communicate and you feel like, well, he should know that I need a massage, or he should know that if he wants some, he better run that bath, or he should know because we've been together for how many years and how long does it take for me to, don't do that. Because I promise you, he don't even know. What I'm going to talk about now is kind of an overarching theme. It's guilt. As a wife, you experience a lot of guilt. Because you're required to do so much for so many people, there are times where you feel like you can't do it all and you don't do it right. And, you have the discussion where we really beat up on each other. Moms and wives, we beat up on each other about how long you breastfeed, how much weight should you gain after you get married. That alone, what you're supposed to look like after the wedding dress comes off. Men look distinguished when they gain 30 pounds. Women look, you know what I mean. It's a double standard, and it really isn't fair. But what it creates is a whole lot of guilt within yourself about, who your husband deserves to have and who you should be for him and all of these things. And I think that some of it is good because it keeps you on your toes. Like, you don't want to give up on your body. You don't want to give up on, the person that he actually fell in love with. Let me give you an example. Okay, so I met my husband when I was 17. Clearly, I don't look like what I looked like when I was 17. Facially, body-wise, things look totally different. I think differently. I don't speak differently. Actually, I still act like a 17-year-old, to be quite honest. But you get the point. I'm not the same person. And there is an idea that is out there floating. It's like an unspoken thing that if you don't sustain who you are physically, that it kind of gives your husband permission to check out, and I'm not even talking about cheating. I'm talking about checking out. Like, you walk in the room and maybe there's just the spark is gone. You're not looking at each other anymore. You're not talking to each other anymore. And it becomes your fault in your brain. This is what the wife brain does. In your mind, you're saying, well, maybe if I could get rid of these 10 pounds, these 20 pounds, or however many pounds you got on, then maybe he'll do this or maybe he'll do that. But what I want to caution you to consider today is that, of course, staying in shape is always going to help, but your marriage was never based on what you look like, or it shouldn't have been. And if it was, then maybe you shouldn't be watching this video anyway. But you know what I mean. So because we put so much stock in the exterior, it's difficult to get through all of that when the exterior changes and remember to nurture the interior. And you've got to find a way to be confident in who you are as a wife. The things that you bring to the table, though it may not be more money than him, though it may not be, the ability to cut 4 acres of lawn or, lift the heaviest thing in the home. You have so much power. You are powerful beyond measure, because the truth is You run that home. That is your home, and they all just live in it. The guilt that you feel is really self-imposed. I want you to really step back and think about, how is it that I can step out of this and really own this life that I'm living and be content with what I have and who I am. Talk to your mother about how she felt when she was however old she was when she first got married. You know, what she learned in her first year. I'm going to be honest, what you learned in the first 5 years of marriage, you should know more about yourself than you ever knew. I liken being married to a reality show. The lights and the cameras are always on. You cannot hide. You can't just slip into the bathroom and then come back with your face all fly and be like, oh, I just wake up like this, boo. No, because you might be able to do that from Monday to Wednesday, but by Friday evening, look, you're going to be like this a little bit. So it's not a situation where you can hide, and you will learn who you are, and you have to take the opportunity to be grateful for that, because your partner has the ability to change things about you, and vice versa. So, okay, wifeys, I will see you next time. Rate, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Share this with your friends and your family. Talk to your moms, and make sure you come back for the next video. That's going to be Multitasking Maven Motherhood. Love you, wifeys. And as always, peace, love, and soul. Smooches.